12 sonatas. This is the first instrumental sonata music that was ever published by a woman composer, and they were published in 1693. And I got to go to Italy last summer and visit a museum, an archive museum, where a copy of this piece was actually in their archives, a copy of the printed publication. So I got to hold the piece of music from 1693, and it's incredible. The original notation was quite old-fashioned, and you wouldn't recognize it today, so I had to use that, plus a combination of a lot of listening to put this together. But what we have for you is a couple movements from this piece. The composer's name is Isabella Leonarda, and she was in a convent. She was a nun in northern Italy rather, in the 1600s, in the Baroque era. So we talked a lot about how to play Baroque music because the instruments at that time period would have been very different than what we have today, very modern instruments. So we're going to actually hold our bows a little bit higher up on the stick than normal, so that we can imitate the balance of the bow that would have been of the time period when this piece was written. Baroque music has a lot of tapered sound, a lot of space between the notes. It's not as connected and legato and lyrical as you think of more modern music. So you're going to hear that. Also in the Baroque era, it was not common to change emotion in the middle of a piece. So they separated it out with lots of different little movements. So what we're going to play for you right now is 4 different movements. They're very short because the composers at that time, sort of committed to one emotion per movement. So the first one you're going to hear is pretty upbeat and happy the whole way through. And then if the composer wanted to change moods, they had to do a different mood, or a different movement rather. So our second movement is more slower and not sad, but just more relaxed and slower. And then the next one is more upbeat again, and the last one is more vivacious. So if you could please hold your applause. I know I just told you to applaud a lot, but hold it until the very end when I do the little thing that I step off the podium and say yay for them. Then give a big applause. But in between, don't clap only because in the time period it would have been heard as a single piece, just with those small pauses in between for the different movements. So here we go with our first piece called Sonata Prima by Isabella Leonarda that I've custom arranged for the group. So enjoy.